All right, on to our segment 3, where we're going to talk about the films we've seen this week. Alex, shoot us off with what'd you see this week?
All right, I'm gonna cheat and go a little before.
No.
But it's an important film.
Okay, you saw it a certain week, either this week, last week.
It's 4 days before last week. I saw The Godfather for the first time.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Oh,
what? You gave
not good enough.
You gave us a 93, but The Godfather gets 90.
They're completely different films. Like,
yeah, obviously, it's one of the greatest films ever made.
The Godfather is easily a better film, but I feel like I need to rewatch it to appreciate it more, because I definitely appreciate it. Like, the acting is amazing, especially James Caan is my favorite actor in the movie, actually, for Sonny. Santino Corleone. But for my first watch, I felt there was a good amount of parts where there was a little pacing issue. I know, it's weird. And oddly enough, I found the movie to be a little long, even though it wasn't that long compared to other movies that have come out that are really long today. But all the acting is basically perfect, from like Al Pacino, what's the main guy?
Brando.
Yeah.
Brando.
Like, I love the opening scene is one of the best in cinema, period. And I feel like because of the opening scene, I thought the entire movie was going to be as good as that, which then gave me like too high of expectations. And then I didn't like it as much as I hoped. But if I rewatch it, I bet I'll like it more.
Yeah, it's a perfect film. Have you seen part 2?
Not yet.
I actually enjoy part 2 more. Part 1 and part 2 are both perfect films. They do a dueling timeline from where Michael Corleone, who is Al Pacino, while he's taking over the family. But it's also a flashback timeline where Robert De Niro plays Vito Corleone, the father, and how he built up the family.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't 2 the prequel one?
It's a sequel prequel in the same movie. Because you have the dueling timeline, you are seeing what happens after the story ends in the Godfather, but on the other side of the timeline, you're seeing how everything started. So it was a very unique way of doing that. I can't think of many films that I'm surprised a lot haven't emulated it since. But yeah, it's I think Robert De Niro won his first Oscar for that film.
Was it? I thought it was Al Pacino.
No, Robert De Niro won for part 2.
Wait.
I think he got supporting actor in part 2.
Oh, he was in it? I guess I
No, that's what I'm saying. With the dueling timeline, Robert De Niro plays a young Vito, who was Marlon Brando's character in part 1. So what you're seeing is turn of the century is when he first gets from Sicily to America, starting from just trying to build a family to being a common street hood to building up the family.
Okay. All right, David, what did you see this week?
Okay. I revisited, and I wrote a review on this, a film from 2012. Well, the American release is 2012. It's called The Loved Ones.
Okay.
Oh, I saw that review.
It's directed by Sean Byrne, who did The Devil's Candy, which is also an amazing film. But The Loved Ones follows Brent, who is he accidentally kills his father, and he doesn't really kill him, but he has a car accident with his father, and his father dies. So he's kind of a troubled kid. He's a cutter, into metal music. He has a girlfriend that he's kind of emotionally distanced from. But this girl Lola one day asks him to go to a dance. He refuses because he already has a girlfriend. But turns out he refused the wrong girl. Lola and her father are crazed killers. And Brent gets kidnapped, and it gets really, really fucking dark. Lola is played by Robin McLevy. She is one of my favorite horror villains ever. I put her up there. And if I did some research on the film, she watched a lot of Misery before she went into this film. And you can see the influence of Kathy Bates on her character. And there's a lot of similarities, but she plays it amazingly. It's an Australian film, so a lot of people might have missed it. Horror nerds have all seen it, but if you're kind of into horror and you're not that deep into it, this is definitely a good film to check out.
I have not heard of it. You said you saw it too, Alex?
I've heard of it.
Oh, okay.
I saw his review.
Oh, okay.
If check out The Devil's Candy too. That's probably on Netflix or something.
I've definitely heard of that one.
That I've heard of, yeah.
That came out, I think, in 2015. And both of these films are two of the best horror entries of the last decade.
Okay. All right, then I will go with my my next movie in my Star Wars journey. I finally got around to Empire Strikes Back, which was that episode
5?
5, yes, 5. Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was much easier to get through than the first one. The first one, man, like there was just like no tension in the editing. It was just like these unnecessarily large wide shots of they made the lightsaber fight very boring between Vader and Obi-Wan in the first one. They're like, "Hey, look over there." And then the camera would go over there, and it's like this long shot of them just standing there. Like, oh, are they fighting, or are they staring at each other romantically? Couldn't tell. And then there's just the sudden, oh, he's dead or gone. And then in this one, they really did like the cuts much better, and the dialogue was punched up a little bit more too. Like there was a lot less of the nagginess from Princess Leia. She sounded a lot better. And it's weird how what is the year difference?
3 years.
3 years. Let me see here. Episode 4 is A New Hope 77, and episode 5 came out in 80. Correct, 3 years. So in 3 years, man, these guys. I mean, what were they, 40 already? Because by episode 5, man, like Harrison Ford looked the same. He's been 80 since he was born. Mark Hamill looked like he caught up to Harrison Ford in age in this one, and he was just like. Just looked terrible. I was like, oh my god, this guy. He lost like that youthful appearance from the first one, but it was much quicker. Like the scenes were much faster. It was much more fun to follow. I finally got to see the scene where he shoves him inside the tauntaun. I've only seen like that made fun of, where you keeping warm inside the tauntaun, had to cut it open. But it was only because it was dead already. If it was still alive and they had to kill it, then I would have been, I had my reasons to be upset about that. But the tauntaun was dead from the cold. Even though they told Harrison Ford, don't go out there. It's too cold. You'll die. Your tauntaun will die. And he's like, whoa, gotta do it anyway. And he goes out there, tauntaun dies. Anyway, it was like, okay, stupid idea.
This was your first time seeing it?
This was my first time seeing 5 all the way through. Yeah, I've seen so many of these like clips and bits and knowing of what happens, but I never seen them all the way through. No,
that's amazing. We have 2 people hosting a show of our age who have not sat. I've never seen a Star Wars. I refuse to watch them.
Well, okay.
And you know how hard it is for a 41-year-old man to have never seen Star Wars? You have to try not to see Star Wars.
I mean, if you don't like it, you won't see it. What is the try? What's so difficult? Do you want a medal? I don't know what you want.
You know how many places like I have to like leave because I don't want to watch Star Wars.
But you don't want to watch meaning because you're worried about it being spoiled, or
No, I just can't.
You don't like it?
I haven't watched it in this long. I've just refused to watch it.
He prefers high art.
Oh my goodness.
No, I never really liked sci-fi. There's a few films I like now, but as a kid, I hated sci-fi.
Do you like Arrival?
Yeah, I like Arrival. As an
Arrival was
adult, I've came to like, or even later teens, started liking more sci-fi. But stuff like Star Wars and Star Trek, I just I had no interest in seeing.
Robert Pattinson is going to be in the next one. Are you going to watch it then?
Dune?
No.
He's
No.
not going to be in it. I'm just joking. I just wanted to see if you.
No, I did watch High Life, so I did see Robert Pattinson in a space movie.
Should I talk about a different movie I saw?
Yes, please.
Okay, so
Did you watch Scarface for the first time?
no.
Which would be perfectly all right, Alex. It's not a problem.
So I saw Midsommar
Oh God.
Oh man,
3 times.
3 times in the last week.
So I saw it the 11th and twice today, technically.
All right.
So the first time I was like, wow, that was much better than my first watch. Second time, wow, that was much better than my second watch. And then my latest time, I liked it the most.
Oh wow.
It just keeps on getting better.
Yeah, it's like Hereditary. It just gets better the more you think about it. Unlike it doesn't have like the narrative issues that like movies like even Us has or Get Out, where like you can pinpoint like, oh, this screenplay decision doesn't work. But like with this, like they have the excuse to like do supernatural stuff with like the or psychedelic stuff with Midsommar, where they're on drugs for like 70% of the movie. So they can like do these weird visuals where they like barely mess with someone's face in the background, and it's just like weird. And that's really what the movie is. It's just weird.
Did you feel that the boyfriend deserved that?
I didn't see the director's cut.
Huh?
I don't think he didn't deserve it. But I don't know if he deserved it though. Because
he deserved death in that way.
Well, it was,
I didn't think so. Anyway,
he wasn't a horrible guy, but he was a horrible boyfriend.
Oh man, kill him!
Like he never really like showed he cared for her. Like he always forgot her birthday. He always forgot this. He always forgot that. He like. Well, then he slept with that person, and then they had the screaming match inside that room.
So you're still young. If I got killed for every woman I wasn't emotionally available for,
yeah, I understand that. Like, oh, he didn't deserve it, but like, it's a movie, and it makes it more cathartic to see him die. I just don't know if he deserved it, but I was just more focused on Florence Pugh's performance, which got snubbed.
She was I'll give it that. Her performance throughout the whole movie didn't really let up. I enjoyed her.
She was the Toni Collette of this year.
Ooh.
Just like she annoyed me when she cried, just like a real life woman. So I felt it.
Just all started flooding back to you.
I do agree. I do think Hereditary is better because I like the darkness more and the more classical approach, and then the morning scene Toni Collette does.
Yeah, I think I like Hereditary a good deal more because and Midsommar is on my one of my top films of the year, but it's a lot more derivative of other things. Hereditary, I think, was its own entity. if you ever go back and watch some of the British folk horror, and Ari Aster was really open by saying what his inspirations were, or what kind of films he took inspiration from, but it is a lot's taken from The Wicker Man, but he does make it his own, but that's why I like Hereditary more. It's a lot more of an original idea.
I think I'm glad I haven't seen those because.
There you go. So you haven't seen Wicker Man?
No, so it allows me to be surprised.
Yeah, then you wouldn't have seen. That's what. That was the question I was going to ask you. Did you see any of it coming? So you didn't really see the build up to what was a possibility. Okay.
And it probably has one of my favorite kills I've seen in a long time. Spoilers. Remember Josh when he's like taking pictures of the book?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then the guy wearing Mark's skin comes into the room.
And
Bill Leatherface.
Yeah, and then he gets like smacked in the neck by that huge hammer.
Yeah.
I made the mistake of having the volume all the way up and having a headset on. So it felt like I got hit when he got hit.
I was gonna say that was. Oh, okay. That was it though, right? I don't remember anything else happening than showing anything.
Yeah,
I liked when they had the body of I forget his name. It was him and his girlfriend were in that. They were also visitors there, but they had him. I believe that's a real torture from Vikings. I believe it's called a screaming eagle. It's where they cut out your lungs and hang them behind your back while you're still alive. And that was really I really liked that gore scene in the film. But you don't see too many kills, which Ari Aster said that he said that's the most predictable part of a horror film. So he wants to shy away from that, but he liked to show the aftermath.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was pretty typical of a horror movie where the remaining people end up discovering all the bodies that we wondered where they went, sort of thing.
Yeah.
He also loves head trauma.
Yeah, he does love his head trauma.
Charlie, and then the.
Well, let me go on to my next one. We actually spoke a little bit about this film back when we had James L. Edwards on. I think our list was the best our favorite indie films to get somebody into watching indie films. So I revisited Father's Day. And we talked about possibly doing an Astron 6 episode. But this is made by the Canadian film collective named Astron 6. This film was made, how it started off, they made a trailer. Just to make a trailer, it was never meant to be a feature-length film. It was just, kind of like a proof of concept, like just showing off what they could do. But the production company, Troma, gave them $10,000 to turn it into a feature-length film. It's the best micro-budget film ever made, in my opinion. If you watch this film and you don't know that they made it for $10,000, and I tell you that, you would think that I'm out of my mind. The reason is it's 5 very talented guys, and one of them is an amazing FX creator. So they're able to do so much in-house just with their talent as a collective. But the film is about a serial killer who rapes and kills fathers. So it's kind of it's a weird concept, but it's a horror comedy. But it's also it has some wicked shit going on in the film. There's some great FX, but it's the hunt. It's 3 of the guys from the collective's also the main actors. They play Ahab, who is the eye-patched, grizzled hunter. Twink, who is a gay dude whose father has been murdered by the same guy, and John, who is a priest. So they team up to hunt the serial killer, whose last name is Fuckman. And it is
Oh, I just got that.
it's hilarious. People don't know this film. Two of the guys out of the collective went on to do the film The Void, which was one of my favorite horror films in the last few years. Check out that film too. It's almost like it meets like John Carpenter type film. Not it, like the Thing meets Hellraiser. It's a really wicked horror film. But if you've never seen Father's Day, you will laugh your ass off if you have a dark, sick sense of humor like I do. I gave this film a 9 out of 10. I love it every single time I've seen it, and I see it, and I've probably seen it 10 times.
I tried watching it that one day I told you, and I did not I did not know what the hell I was watching for a while, and I was like, what the heck is this about? And then I remembered what you were telling me. I was like, oh, we're definitely watching the right movie. And I was like, I can't do this right now. So I forget. We watched Weekend and Bernie's after that.
Just to give you the main line from my review, if you like your horror mixed with laughs, bloody entrails, incest, penis munching, and man rape, then this film is for you.
Your parents gonna let you come back on this show again, Alex? After they,
yeah, you start watching Father's Day. It's like, yeah, this guy's recommended this to me.
Who are these guys you're talking to every day? I don't want you to.
Is that guy eating off somebody's penis? Is that a movie?
I tend to not show them everything I see. Like, I didn't watch We Need to Talk about Kevin with them, or like other movies.
It's a good call.
Yeah, they don't want to think that you're going to be a school shooter or anything.
Yeah.
All right, Alex, go
what
ahead.
about you? You don't have anything else?
Oh, me? Oh, yeah, I do. Did I skip myself? I have... Oh, After Empire. My other one I saw was... the last one is the one that you recommended, but I saw Collision. It came out in... Let me see. I think it was 2009, I want to say. Collision... Do you remember the guy who I posted that I saw coming out of a store?
Todd Glass? No.
No, I forgot his name. The guy who plays Crossbones.
Yeah.
So Collision came out 2013, starring, what's his name? Frank Grillo. That's right. And I did not know. I just thought he was in the movie. I was like, oh, what's he up to? So I turned on the movie and I was watching, and it starts out about this wife who is trying to get her husband killed by her lover, and they're out somewhere, and she sets it up so that the lover ends up following them using a GPS tracker, and he's supposed to start like this fight with him and end up like killing him in just like an altercation, just like that, and they were going to get away or some shit. Anyway, that's not what happens. They are chasing each other in, I didn't catch what country because I started the movie a little late, but there are these ridges that they keep jumping over. Well, one of the jumps lead them straight into these other cars that have been stalled out or whatever issues they were having with their engine trouble in the middle of the desert. And they just collide with these cars, and there's a number of deaths, and all these identities of these new characters pop up. This movie would just not end. It was just when you think it's done, then there's more. And then when that part's done, then there's more. And I was like, oh my God, how long is this movie? And you want to know about it, but then the other half of me is just like, fucking end already. Like, what is going on in this movie? And the one guy who I haven't seen before, I can't even pronounce his name, Rashji, it sounds like my name, but it's not. Rashji Zem. He was really good. I've never seen him in anything else. He played a character known as Saleh. but the acting was all right. It was pretty decent. I liked it, and it was you weren't sure who, like, some of the characters, like, oh, it's obvious they're bad, but the characters that are way too flat and plain don't last very long, and the remaining mysterious characters, you kind of have to watch the rest of the movie to figure out who they are, and there's probably one good twist in there, and it ends off pretty satisfying, although a little strange. There's a little bit too much casual understanding about certain situations when it comes to killing certain people. They're just nodding, like, yeah, that's cool. Like, no, I think maybe some of these people should have went to jail for what they did, but it was interesting. I was pleasantly surprised, and it wasn't a complete waste of time.
I revisited another film that I've always been a big fan of. I haven't seen this one in years. This is called Sid and Nancy. It's a 1986 biopic about Sid Vicious, who was the bass player for the Sex Pistols.
Oh, I saw you reviewing that in the group. Yeah.
This was a very important movie to me. I think probably the first time I ever saw it, I was probably around 10. And going into my teen years, it was so important to me because it mixed my love of punk rock and my budding love for film. This is a very dark, nihilistic film because Sid Vicious and his girlfriend Nancy Spungen, they just got so bad into heroin that you just see their lives spiral out of control. I don't really... Can I spoil a film from 1986 that was based off real events?
If it's not a good movie, fine. But don't do it because of the time that it came out.
But it's like saying the Titanic sank at the end.
You keep using that one movie as a reference for when you can spoil movies. Okay. Yeah, we all know the Titanic, but we don't talk about
Lincoln,
what happened to Leo.
Abe gets shot.
Wait, what was that, a historical note?
Lincoln got shot.
No, that's bullshit. Stop spoiling history.
I won't spoil, but it is based off real events. But you see the life of Sid Vicious just totally spiral out of control. The guy only lived to be 21 years old, so it's pretty sad story. But he's an icon. In that 21 years, he built up, to become a legend of punk rock music. It's starring Gary Oldman, and this was his first major role. I love Gary Oldman. I mean, from this to, if you remember Leon the Professional, he played the cop in that film. He's so amazing.
Batman Begins.
Yep, it was, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. There's so many great movies Gary is in, and this was starting his career, and he is pitch perfect. He is amazing in this film. If this was not a British film, I would think he would have won a lot of awards. It did show at Cannes back in '86. It also co-stars a young Courtney Love before she married and killed. Before she married and killed good old Kurt. Kurt Cobain. Courtney Love, Kurt Cobain.
Oh yeah, no, I was just saying Kurt along with you, and then they made the sound.
The film, and I just realized this is not a name I would have recognized back in my teens, but the film was actually the cinematographer was Roger Deakins, who was one of the greatest to ever do it, who was also up for Academy Award this year for 1917.
Oh.
So this is one of his earlier films too, but if you look at that guy's filmography, the films that he has shot, it's amazing. He's just one of the best alive that does it. Oh my God, I'm looking at it now. It's just so many films this guy has been involved in. So many great films. But as I said in my review, there is a shot of one of my favorite shots in cinema ever. There's a shot of Gary Oldman playing Sid Vicious walking across these train tracks with the skyline of New York behind him, but he's just totally dwarfed by the skyline. And this is near the end of the movie as his life is totally spiraling out of control. And it's just such a beautiful, powerful shot. So if you've never seen Sid and Nancy, you don't have to be a fan of punk rock, even though that plays a big part of the film. If it's I think Roger Ebert called it a punk rock. I'm sorry, a punk rock Romeo and Juliet. So it's just a dark love story, and it's amazing.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not a huge punk rock fan, but I know so many names that I just don't know, like, oh, who were they, or some of the history between that stuff. So yeah, that would
Well,
be
the Sex Pistols is considered, along with the Ramones, to be the first punk rock bands ever.
Oh, I see.
So they are, in punk rock terms, they're like the Beatles, and the Ramones are like the Rolling Stones. That's so it's very important. It's not like a obscure type band. They're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, I believe.
Oh, speaking of Hall of Fame, Whitney Houston. I thought that was weird. That was weird to hear. Whitney Houston made it into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now.
Oh, really? I didn't see that.
I was like, oh, well, she's dead. I mean, is it about time? Like, this now, 2020, is that when she's made it in?
But she's never even made a rock and roll song. And I don't really
understand that Hall of Fame business anyway.
I don't. I love, like, they'll put some hip hop groups in there too, and I love these groups, but make your own fucking Hall of Fame. It's not rock and roll.
There isn't one. They're not enough.
Yeah, have a hip hop and R&B Hall of Fame. I'm on board for all that. Whitney was an amazing talent, but that's like putting Pete Sampras in a baseball Hall of Fame.
Oh, also Jimmy Johnson this weekend made it into the what was it, the Pro Football Hall of Fame?
Yeah, before he even made it into the Dallas Cowboys Hall of Fame. It tells you how much Jerry Johnson likes him.
Yeah, he's
Jerry Jones. I'm sorry,
Jerry Jones. Yeah, he was all teary-eyed on TV and stuff. That was interesting. Like, oh, nice guy. My last one was a recommendation from you, Harpoon, which I caught just in time. I wasn't even intending on watching it. I caught it. It came on TV, and I was like, hey, that sounds familiar. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that was the one Dave was talking about. So I decided, just for you, not to change the channel. And I started watching. Yeah, so I started watching it. And I was like, what is this? Because at first I was like, oh, it's kind of like this indie kind of look to it. And I struggled a little bit in the first 5-10 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of getting there, a little bit funny. And then, the shit starts to hit the fan, and it was getting really funny. It's like, oh, what, like, this is, and then I had to go and read your review that there was comedy in it. I was like, oh, okay. And yeah, it was pretty good. Although I was kind of sad that they didn't keep like the comedy going very strong up all the way up until the end. It sort of kind of dwindled off, and it became much more darker as the story went on. And I loved how they kept doing these black and white voiceovers, like when they had a story or like something from the past, like the whole story about Richard Parker.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, that was really funny. They did that well. I wish it had more, what's the word, like more coverage or more appreciation, because that was a pretty good movie. I like that. I like that one. And the ending was funny too.
They didn't really telegraph those twists either.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did a really good job of the twist didn't really totally make the movie, but they do catch you by surprise.
Yeah, like it wasn't like a huge like, oh man, it was just like, oh, okay. Yeah, like it was fine. It was nice. It was nice enough just to make the story a little bit more interesting. And then by the end, it was just like, yeah, everyone got what they deserved, sort of thing.
Yeah, I don't remember what I rated that, But it did make it into, I think it made like a top 25 of the year list. It made it into that. I really liked it. I haven't revisited since, but it was something that caught me totally off guard. Let's see. I gave it an 8. You gave it a 7, so we're not too far off from each other.
Yeah. You know, just like I'm still getting used to that whole indie look of movies, and I like. Oh God, who was the main? Wasn't it Richie? Richie's character was pretty funny. I didn't think she was all that. I don't know. I didn't like her character so much. It was kind of boring.
The chemistry was good though between the three.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. The three of them together were pretty good. Individually, I liked the two guys. I wasn't crazy about her acting. She was okay. There was some. She had some moments like during that whole drunk scene when they're all talking and revealing secrets and stuff. Like I was like, oh, that was really interesting, entertaining. Okay, thanks, Alex, for joining us for the segments. And this is your second return. You're like Alec Baldwin on SNL.
Yeah.
So maybe you'll make 52 more guest appearances eventually in the future, should we last that long.
That'd be great.
We will we'll see you again in the future, I'm sure, and we'll have some another fun list for us all to discuss too.
Yeah, that would definitely be great.
Yeah, thanks a lot for coming on with us, Alex.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
You have a good night, man.
You too.
That was a lot of fun having him on. And just to let you guys know, we are available on a number of different platforms now, including YouTube, which I also upload. Podbean is supposed to be uploading these automatically to the YouTube channel, but it doesn't all the time. So that's why some of them look different. And I have to put our own thumbnail on it. I don't know what the deal about that is, but we're available on YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, iHeartRadio is a new one. We just got approval for that. Blubrry. There's no E in blueberry. Blubrry Podcasting. That you know why? It's a UK thing. Just like they love their strawberries. Blubrry Podcasting, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and Listen Notes so far. I think I'm still waiting to hear from Pandora and one other one. They said that, it could take up to like 6 weeks. I think it's been like 10 weeks now, whatever. They can go to hell. I mean, don't go to hell, whatever. Okay. I
don't think many people use Pandora anymore anyway.
Yeah, like I don't even know if it's like, the American public that's driving a lot of it, because there's like when things don't trend here, yeah, it's not trending here, but sometimes it starts to pick up in other countries after the fact, Yeah,
it could be huge in Sweden or something.
Oh, yeah, that old Swedish. Greta could be listening to this. So, thanks to Greta. No.
We got to get on WhatsApp and touch like Southeast Asia.
On WhatsApp?
Yeah.
WhatsApp has a podcasting service? What are you talking about?
They got to do something. We can text the links to people.
Oh, shit. Just everybody. There's some kind of web groups.
Mass text message to everybody.
Okay. All right. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. We will see you in the next episode of Coast to Coast Film Reviews. I'm Raj. Have a good night.
And this is David. Have a great time of day.